Welcome to a night to celebrate Jewish education. Some housekeeping items. First, if you would, please silence your cell phones. And for those of you who parked in the garage, please pick up a validated parking ticket at the registration desk on your way out. And now at this time, please welcome Shelley Glazer, Co-Chair of the Center for Jewish Education Advisory Committee and Tribute Event Committee member.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this very special event honoring Leslie and Howard Schultz. It is so exciting to come together for this evening to celebrate Jewish education in Dallas and all that we have accomplished through our Center of Jewish Education. Leslie and Howard, your dedication to Jewish education and Jewish continuity has been impacted by your unique and creative vision. Before we begin, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge Bill Bretches, General Manager and the entire Renaissance Dallas Richardson Hotel organization, who informed us only this week of their decision to underwrite the entire cost of this evening's program at the hotel. We are so grateful to you and your team for your generosity and for making the Renaissance Dallas Richardson Hotel one of the premier kosher venues in Dallas. Please join me in giving them a tremendous round of applause. Additionally, we would like to recognize those who have supported us in making this evening a success. Please hold your applause until the end. Thank you to our educators, clergy, community partners, and agencies, tribute sponsors, Federation corporate sponsors who make community events such as this one possible, the CJE Advisory Committee for being so amazingly generous with your time, wisdom, and resources, event and honorary co-chairs and committee for your support for this evening, now's a good time for the applause. Thank you. Together, Leslie and Howard, you and all of us have strengthened Jewish education in Dallas. And because of this, more and more of our community will learn Jewish, think Jewish, and do Jewish.
Please welcome Federation President and CEO Bradley Leigh.
And that's only a sampling of the work that our Center for Jewish Education does, so much of which to be proud. Good evening. On behalf of our board of directors, our board chair, Dan Prescott, our professional team, and the thousands of supporters of our federation, it's my pleasure to bring greetings to you tonight. Our federation, and by extension, our Center for Jewish Education, plays, among other roles in our community, that of convener and builder of Jewish community, and tonight is really a perfect example of that. We've convened before, including in times of sadness. Racheli, as you may hear again tonight, our Dallas Jewish community came together over 700 strong. We dug deep into our souls, and we were with you every moment from the time Naphtali was kidnapped with his friends Eyal and Gilad, and we mourned. We really mourned. At that moment, it was confirmed that our three boys, Naphtali, Eyal, and Gilad, had been murdered, all of blessed memory. We convene and build our community in all times, both of need and sadness, but also opportunity, like tonight. Leslie, Howard, we convene tonight across denominations, across affiliations, across every possible spectrum to celebrate you and your family's commitment to Jewish education. It's no exaggeration to say that every single Jewish organization in Dallas and many throughout the world and in Israel have been a direct beneficiary of your leadership, your passion, your dollars, either from you and your progeny, your children, and now your grandchildren alike. Personally, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to witness this momentous occasion as we pay honor to your efforts. I will add that our very own Center for Jewish Education, which you just saw a snippet about, exists today only because of the work of your family, and for that we cannot put words to our gratitude. We typically end such greetings and honors with a phrase we end a book of the Torah with, may you go from strength to strength. But tonight, in the spirit of Jewish education, I'd like to instead end with what we end a tractate of Talmud with, the Hadran, which translated reads, "We'll return to you, and you'll return to us. Our mind is on you, and your mind is on us. We will not forget you, and you will not forget us, not in this world and not in the world to come." Thank you.
Please welcome Meyer Denn, Executive Director of the Center for Jewish Education.
Wow. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Really. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim. Come on. Yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam. Come on. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, la 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 la. Hine matov, la 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 la. It's amazing. It's amazing. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank a dear friend, Rabbi Pinchas Alush of Scottsdale, Arizona. Because of Rabbi Alush's close personal relationship with Racheli Frankel, we were able to secure her here as our keynote this evening. And I'll tell you, I've tried to get some great speakers before, and they've never been as difficult as Racheli Frankel. So I want to tell you, Rabbi Alush, we are grateful to you for helping to arrange that shidduch, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. He's traveled here to be with us today from Scottsdale. I want to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize and thank Karen Schlossberg, our Coordinator of Projects and Administration, for her hard work and countless hours put forward in making this event possible tonight. Please. Lastly, a huge shout out to the co-chairs and members of the event committee who stepped up to make numerous phone calls and solicitations to make this evening a huge success. And now is the time that we take to recognize and acknowledge perhaps the most important individuals who, without their love and dedication to our children, and by extension to the Jewish people, none of us in this room would be here this evening, and that is our community's incredible Jewish educators and school administrators. Dallas is blessed with more than 500 Jewish congregational religious school, day school, early childhood educators, adult educators, youth group leaders, and advisors. As far as the CJE is concerned, these individuals are the most pivotal and critical impactors of our Jewish community, for without their Mesirat Nefesh, without their selfless devotion to our children, we would have no Jewish future to anticipate. In the room tonight, there are more than 250 of our community's finest and brightest. I would like them all to please stand at this time and remain standing so that we can formally acknowledge them for the amazing service that they provide our community. Please stand up for a moment. Remain standing, please. Please remain standing. Please remain standing. Don't sit down yet, please. Don't sit down, please. Stay standing. I want you all to take a look around the room, and before you leave tonight, you'll notice that these people are wearing a badge of honor around their necks. Please take a moment before these people leave the room tonight to thank them personally for their dedication to our community. Thank you. Please direct your attention to the screen as the CJE recognizes 43 teachers who received our award for successfully completing a minimum of 12 hours of professional development through our Institute of Advanced Teacher Education, organized and executed so well by Melissa Bernstein, our Director of Institutional Professional Engagement. The slide on the screen? Can we recognize them? Okay, I recognize you anyway. We, as well as the institutions you represent, are so proud of each and every one of you for your accomplishment. Thank you. Through the generosity of all of you who have participated in our previous Night to Celebrate Jewish Education events, we have been able to provide our community's educational institutions with some amazing opportunities. One of the three foundational pillars of the CJE is to serve as an incubator for new ideas and initiatives. Through our own incubation of successful communal programs such as the Special Needs Initiative, Learning Fest, the PJ Library, the CJE realized early on that many of our communal partners have amazing ideas for out-of-the-box and innovative educational things and programs, but simply lack the seed money to make it happen. One of the things that I have learned from our honorees this evening is, given that one puts in the appropriate thought and research and that the need is real, verified, and worthy of attention, it is worth taking a chance. It's okay to fail, as long as the idea is nurtured properly, brought to fruition judiciously, and that something is learned in the process. Since our first night to celebrate Jewish education in 2012, the CJE has received over 50 grant requests and has given out more than $77,000 to 7 projects to seed new and innovative educational initiatives. They're usually the ones from this year. Under the careful guidance of Nina Stenzler, our Director of Programs and New Initiatives, these incubated proposals, if successful, will be replicated by our other institutions in Dallas and around the country. We already know that one of these initiatives, the Early Childhood Community Practice, moderated by Elise Eisenberg, our Early Childhood Specialist and PJ Library Manager, has served as a model and inspiration for the creation of similar models in Houston and other cities around the country. We would like to congratulate this year's recipients of our incubator and incentive grants. At last year's Night to Celebrate Jewish Education, the CJE established the annual Helen and Frank Risch Early Childhood What If Grant to support innovation in Jewish preschool classrooms. We are pleased to announce that this year's Helen and Frank Risch What If Grant goes to the Ann and Nate Levine Academy for their new makerspace. Congratulations to all of the recipients. And now let us celebrate Jewish education. Each year I get the nachas by asking everyone to take a moment to look to your right, look to your left, look all around the room. This is not a game, don't worry. You'll notice people with colorful knitted kippot, black velvet kippot, no kippot at all, women in pantsuits, others with head coverings. I can tell you that in my experience and in conversations with colleagues around this country, I have heard that in Dallas alone does every facet of the Jewish community come together to celebrate. You know, we Jews tend to come together in times of distress, but not nearly frequently enough in times of celebration. Tonight, we celebrate. We are all here to embrace one common Torah value of lilmod ulilamed, to learn and to teach. And I am truly grateful to be part of this occasion. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Ben Romainer, grandson of Leslie and Howard Schultz.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the great honor of introducing 2 of the most influential people in my life, Leslie and Howard Schultz. Before I speak about the incredible work they have done for the world of Jewish education, let me discuss the education I have received through the values shared by my grandparents. From a young age, I was consistently taught about the 3 legs on which our family stool stands: family, tzedakah, and community. And like any 3-legged stool, it cannot stand without all 3 legs working in balance and harmony. Naturally, family was the first leg I learned to value. It is true that one does not choose the family they are born into, but keeping it together is not a given. Between weekly Shabbat dinners together, annual family reunions, and spending every Jewish holiday at the dinner table with them, my grandma and grandpa embedded in me a deep sense of responsibility to keep our family close and connected. In school, I was taught why we celebrate Jewish holidays like Rosh Hashanah and Pesach, but it was at home where I learned how. The best things in life take hard work and dedication, and like all Jewish families, we argue about anything and everything. But I learned that those debates serve to teach all of us about varying perspectives and how to get along with people you disagree with. Despite the arguments, we still came together at every occasion to celebrate the blessing of having each other in our lives. Leslie and Howard embody a legacy of love that remains insurmountable for all of us, immediate family and beyond. I continue to learn a great deal about the importance of family, and without it, we have no basis upon which to build the rest of the stool. Now on to tzedakah. Tzedakah is often mistranslated as charity, but it really means justice. At the Jewish schools I attended, I learned the many ways one can perform social justice, with charity being one small and important tool. My grandparents were blessed with their hard work in business turning into great success. They could have sat back and given donations to various foundations close to them, but instead they put forth work and worked just as hard with the dedication that it took in their businesses. This dedication permeates every aspect of their life. It is their endless pursuit to be more than just donors that I was educated on the true meaning of tzedakah. While writing a check is a great form of tzedakah, money can always be replaced. To Leslie and Howard, their greatest gift to the organizations they hold most dear is time. Time is irreplaceable, and therefore no greater form of tzedakah is attainable. My grandparents have dedicated countless hours to a litany of organizations across the world, and in doing so set an example that I feel is my responsibility to follow. This legacy began with my great-grandparents and is exemplified for the family through my grandparents and continued by my uncles, parents, and cousins. My sense of responsibility to the community in the form of tzedakah is a gift I hope to pass on to my children and grandchildren. Community is the culmination of family and tzedakah working in harmony to make the broader Jewish and non-Jewish community thrive. The family business revolves around the tzedakah we give and the communities we involve ourselves with, and the three legs of the stool are indistinguishable in my eyes. Not only do we work together, but we live less than 1 mile from each other. We work together as one unit to build up our community and give to what we agree upon. Our family's prime directive is exemplified by a meeting held at the annual family reunion. All the cousins, uncles, aunts, and grandparents sit together and decide which organizations the funds set up by my grandparents in honor and memory of my great-grandparents we will be donating to. This is one of our oldest family traditions, and any family celebration wouldn't be complete without giving back to the community. Through the three fundamental values of family, tzedakah, and community, I have been blessed with an incredible Jewish education by the two greatest role models I have ever known. On behalf of my parents, siblings, aunts, and uncles, as well as my many cousins, I love you. We love you. And now, please direct your attention to the big screens, as it gives me great pleasure to introduce Grandma and Grandpa, aka Leslie and Howard Schultz.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Meyer Denn.
So Leslie Schultz told me that I didn't need to say anything gushy or over-the-top remarks about what they've done for this community. So I'm going to honor that request. But what I can share with you is probably what any other executive officer or executive of one of our communal institutions that have worked with Leslie and Howard Schultz will tell you. I came to work at the CJE in 2008, and soon after was introduced to Leslie and Howard around their conference table in their office. I know many of you have been around that table. One of many such meetings that have taken place since that time. And what I've learned from them can never be enumerated. They are champions for Jewish education and continuity. They live it, they breathe it. As philanthropists, they see it as their responsibility that the resources with which they have been entrusted through their hard work be put to use in a way that will impact deeply the society in which they live and learn. It is God-given, and they have throughout their lives judiciously and generously given it away. One cannot be in their presence and not be in awe of their capacity for empathy, creativity, knowledge, passion, and care for the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Leslie and Howard, you are my heroes. You are all of our heroes. Would you please come forward now as we bestow upon you the CJE's Lifetime Achievement Award. I want to, look at this. I want to read for you the inscription here. It says, Lifetime Achievement Award in gratitude to Leslie and Howard Schultz for 2 lifetimes of commitment to Jewish education. September 26, 2016, Elul the 24th, 5776.
Thank you.
Let me come over here.
Wow.
Take a picture over here.
Come over here. Come over here.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. Come over here 1 second. I'll take right here. Another one? One more thing. Come over here. Now, Leslie and Howard, we didn't rehearse this part.
Yeah.
So there is a little presentation that we're going to make here that was unexpected. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Paige Ware, the Department Chair of Teaching and Learning at the Annette Caldwell Simmons School of Education and Human Development at Southern Methodist University, to make a very special and unannounced presentation.
Oh. Hello.
First of all, may I shake your hand?
Thank you. Thank you.
SMU. So, first of all, on behalf of Dr. Gerald Turner, President of SMU, I bring greetings and a hearty mazel tov to both of you for this well-deserved honor. Over the course of the past several months, the CJE has entered into discussions with the Simmons School of Education at SMU in an effort to explore ways in which we can all enhance the level of professional development opportunities for the educators of the Jewish schools in Dallas. Now, initially, these discussions centered on the engagement of SMU professors to teach some of the classes offered by the CJE's Institute for Advanced Teacher Education. But soon, we moved from that discussion to a more innovative and creative approach, from what I can see, inspired by your creativity and your innovation. So rather than continue to look for other educators at SMU to lead CJE's professional development classes, why not train a cadre of dynamic educational leaders from within to build capacity within its own Jewish community of educators? So as a result of these discussions, I am pleased to announce tonight the beginning of a new relationship between the Center for Jewish Education and SMU with the establishment of the Leslie and Howard Schultz Excellence in Jewish Education Award. Yay!
Yeah, I'm going to use my handkerchief. Wow. Love that.
You want to continue? So just a few more details, if you bear with me. The award will be the first of its kind to provide a full scholarship for a Dallas Jewish educator to receive a master's degree in education from the Simmons School at SMU. Yes, full. Once completed, this educator will then provide the CJE in your spirit of giving back to the community, with a designated number of professional development courses for the CJE, as well as serve as moderate a community of practice for a 3-year period. After that time, the Schultz Scholar will remain a part of the CJE team on a consultancy basis to offer professional development classes, mentoring, and coaching for individual teachers, and as an advisor on other strategic issues relating to professional development. So, in the spirit of innovation, a key attribute of your philosophy, it is our hope that this Schultz Scholar will be the first of many to change the Jewish educational landscape in Dallas. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. Thank you. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Oh, good.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Wow. Thank you.
Wow. Now you
Oh, boy.
Thank you for everything.
right here. Let me get it for you.
Yeah.
It's right here.
That's fine.
That's right, we got it.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you,
The
that
hump.
was unexpected, totally unexpected. And I think it follows what Howard and I believe in all along. It's not what you do today, it's what you leave behind you. Okay? And with this kind of Schultz fellow scholar, it's going to make a huge impact, I hope, down the line for all the teachers here in Dallas. It's really, I need my
Whoa.
adjective again.
Okay, before we begin, we want to thank you for joining us here and skipping the Hillary and Donald show that was on TV.
Instead, we thought we would bring you the Howard and Leslie show.
And we think it'll be better.
We hope it'll be better.
And listen, a special thank you to Ben for such a nice introduction. Wow, how you have grown. And to think, I remember holding you in my arms at your bris in Israel years ago. Can you imagine that? There are many more thank yous. Thank you, Ben. Many more thank yous that need to be made.
First to Meyer Denn and the entire staff at the Center for Jewish Education. This event would not have happened without them. They truly did the work. Next to Bradley Leigh and the Federation, without whose support there would be no CJE. And to all the sponsors and to all the people who made calls, to everyone who's with us tonight. Every one of you is important and makes a difference. And then to our family. To my nephew and niece, David and Vicki Block, to our extended family, Carla Romaner and Lyons Heyman, to my last surviving sibling, my brother Joel and his wife Sue, and then to our grandchildren who traveled to be with us on this very special occasion.
You know, we've been together so long that I know that if I start a sentence,
I'm going to finish it. You know, the hardest thing about being in front of you is trying to be insightful, dramatic, and funny.
wait a minute, we're not going to be able to be funny. We got to slow down. We can do it all except maybe be funny.
So you say.
Yeah.
There are many people in our lives who have shaped who we are. There are business mentors, there are teachers, there are community leaders, there are friends, and there are family. These are the shoulders upon which we stand. The many people who came before us who made a difference. The people in our personal lives, our friends and our family and our community who gave us what we needed to succeed and to thrive. They taught us to recognize that the greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it.
One of the most important people to me, going way back now, was my mother, who raised two children. My sister Rita from Birmingham is here with me tonight, and myself, while caring for a very ill husband, all this during the difficult years of the Great Depression. Yes, I'm that kind of super senior. She taught us determination, to be optimistic about the future, and never stop pushing us to be the best that we could be. And in my case, wanting me as the oldest child to be the first family member to go to college. A true woman of valor.
My dad did much the same thing for me. He instilled in me a drive to make a difference, to leave the world a better place than I found it. And that even if I didn't have the money, I had to give my time because it was just as valuable. You can earn more money, but you cannot add to your time on this earth.
So now we hope and pray that we are those kinds of examples. We both want to leave behind a legacy of making a difference. Sometimes stepping in front of the process, but always trying to make good things happen.
We want to be change agents. We pride ourselves on not waiting for change to happen. Jewish education has been one of our primary interests, which now extends from the day schools to the religious school teachers, to the young people in the Schultz Leadership Fellows group. We love watching the teachers learn to teach Israel. And we love watching these young leaders learn to become the next leaders for the next generation.
Can you just imagine what it was like when we first came to Dallas in 1964, over 50 years ago? There was only one Jewish day school and just started here at that time. There was no Dallas Jewish Community Foundation. There was no CJE, just an education department within the Federation. And though everyone thought it was important, it usually placed last in funding by the Federation after other more important community needs.
Yet tonight is not about the past. It's about the present and the future. Today, the Center for Jewish Education is making historic strides in bringing Jewish knowledge to anyone who seeks it. From preschoolers to seniors, the CJE has a hand in creating something for all. As Rabbi Sachs said, I, for one, cherish the richness of knowing that my life is a chapter in a book begun by my ancestors long ago, to which I will add my contribution before handing it over to my children. Life has meaning when it is part of the story, and the larger the story, the more our imaginative horizons grow. Besides, things remembered do not die. That's as close as we get to immortality on earth.
So really, what we are celebrating tonight is how far we have come as a community, how much we have grown, and what we now have. It's definitely a cause for celebration.
Some of you may know I collect angels, and I have found two perfect quotes for me to end with. We are each of us angels with only one wing, and we can only fly by embracing each other. Thank you for being our angels. Thank you for embracing us. And finally, as Golda Meir once famously said, it's not what you gather, but what you scatter that tells the kind of life that you have lived.
But we don't want to do any more scattering. It's time for the next generation to make their marks. Let's leave them with this advice from George Washington Carver. Be tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, and tolerant of the weak, because in your lifetime, you will be all of these.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to just leave that in here and we'll take it over.
Yeah.